Hello everyone, welcome back to the show. My name is Michael Rebello. I'm a 20-year-old entrepreneur who chose entrepreneurship over the traditional college path. I'm driven and passionate about retiring my mother and helping other people on Main Street and also in Middle America to learn about different investments like multifamily syndications, how they can invest in it, and learn from them. And today I'm honored to present Brien Lundin as my podcast guest.
Great to be with you, Michael.
Pleasure's mine. So Brien, if you don't mind, I'm going to introduce you to my audience really quick. Brien Lundin is the publisher of the Gold newsletter. Love your newsletter.
Thank you.
And the CEO of the New Orleans Investment Conference, which we are here at right now live. One of the top events for investors who want to think outside of Wall Street. And for over 40 years, he's helped people protect their savings, understand inflation, and build real wealth through gold, hard assets, and smart investing. Brien, I'm not sure if that's a complete introduction to your
It's a pretty good one. I feel like I hope I've lived up to that. So.
You most certainly have, but I understand we have a short amount of time, so I'd love to dive into the questions.
Sure.
Kind of pick your brain a little bit. So, Brien, after hearing so much of the conference and also hearing the panels that you've been on in years past, people do the same playbook. They work hard, they save their money, and they still feel like they're falling behind. Almost like my mother and how she figured out, I'm still falling behind. The retirement line is still being pushed back. Why do you think the system was set up that particular way? And what can regular Americans like me, myself, my mother, what can they do about it?
Well, I think one important thing people need to realize is none of this is new. You know, we just had a great speaker here for the first time this year, Dan Oliver, who went into detail on something I do in my presentations, comparing what's happening today with what's happened in human history over and over again. And he just went into great detail comparing it to the Roman Empire, where you had people commenting on the economic situation just the same as they're doing today. The very same pattern of human nature of history repeats and repeats. And that is that every government, every organization of humans where there's been a central authority, they eventually debased the currency. They've overspent on military adventures, on entitlements, bread and circuses, the whole gamut, but they've created debts that are too large to manage, so they have to depreciate the currency. They basically print up currency to pay off their debts. That makes that currency worth less and less and less, and it builds and builds and builds until the deflation of the currency, depreciation of the currency, the inflation of prices goes, hyperbolic. So that's what's happening today, and we are in the end game of a 45-year or so trend of ever greater debts, ever cheaper money. And there's ways to protect yourself. We're seeing the gold price react to this process, this end game. And the gold price is going up because gold is kind of the eternal value, the standard against which everything else is measured. If you price certain goods and services in gold, you would see that the prices don't change over the years. But in dollars or other currencies, their prices go up and up. That's because the currency gets depreciated. So that's precisely what's happening now. It's not something where you can really predict the end of the trend, but you have to recognize the trend.
Right.
And you have to prepare yourself for it, protect your wealth, and grow it. Once you recognize that trend, there are ways that you can grow your wealth by taking advantage of it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for bringing that, because I know recognition and education is so important when it comes to these trends, because I can't follow these trends on a day-to-day basis, but if you can see where it could be, you can predict. And a lot of these trends are predicted. I know you've certainly done a lot of predictions along your career, and you're like, okay, where could this go? How can I ride this wave? How can I mitigate this curve? So thank you for sharing that. But I want to kind of talk about the playbook that we've been taught.
Yeah.
Like they know about stocks, the 401ks, CDs, IRAs, the whole kit and caboodle pretty much. And that's what they've been told is safe.
Yeah.
But why do you believe it's important to own something tangible and real, like a hard asset like gold, real estate, silver, instead of just your regular paper investments?
Yeah, you need to have a diversified portfolio. Part of that portfolio are these kinds of investments. I mean, you can go into the math that it provides the highest risk-adjusted return, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, even Main Street or even Wall Street now is talking about, instead of a typical 60-40 stocks bonds portfolio, do a 60-20-20, with 20 being gold or gold-oriented investments. So that's important to have that balance in your portfolio, not only to which we see gold doing now, outperforming other assets, but also be contracyclical and protect you on the downside. It's different right now. I mean, we see the trends in place. I would not advise anyone not to invest in stocks, not to have a allocation in a diversified portfolio in bonds, but I would stress the need to be in gold and silver, the monetary metals, for the trend I just described. As the currency depreciates at a ever quickening rate, you need these physical metals as insurance to protect your wealth. That trend is something you can also invest along. Recognizing it, you can invest in sectors that typically leverage the move in precious metals. That would be mining stocks. Silver itself leverages gold. So it's a world of opportunities out there, and that's what we try to do at this conference, is try to expose people to these alternative investments, but they really are nothing that's new. They are the investments that have protected and built wealth over millennia.
Wonderful. And it's those things that are like, the hard assets that people don't really know about
Yeah.
because they're not educated about it. But conferences like these, like the New Orleans Investment Conference, help to teach that. I mean, we heard Peter Schiff today just go off on his, tangents as usual, talking
Yes.
about both sides of the aisle, but not only that, the global economy, how it's affecting us here in the States. And I know it won't go down that rabbit hole because I'm pretty famous at doing that too. Even my
Yeah.
mother knows that. But just to wrap up our interview, because I know we've got just a couple more minutes left, for the new generation, for example, like Russell Gray, he wants to move towards the new
Right.
generation. Because we're the new generation of investors. There's a lot of wealth transfer that's happening. There's a lot of movement that's going behind the market. For someone like me and my peers, what can we do right now specifically to get on the path to financial freedom, financial literacy, and go into a safer route than the traditional playbook that most Americans have been taught?
Yeah, I think it's important to open your minds. You will not hear about the kinds of investments that we talk about here. Largely, you won't hear about them on CNBC or major networks and major media. So you need to open your minds to these alternative avenues. One of the things, obviously, that Russ is very big on is real estate and passive income producing real estate. And we've seen that at conferences that he's spoken to over the years. We've seen a lot of young people who have gotten financially independent by using that as a building block for wealth. There are ways to protect yourself. You protect what you've earned with precious metals and still use the precious metals as a springboard to build equity in real estate investments. There are a lot of different pathways, but I think it's key to open your mind to these alternative pathways where you can build wealth, protect wealth, and recognize what's really happening in the world.
Awesome. Brien, thank you so much for your insight and wisdom and just basically opening the door to new investments. And this is going to wrap up today's episode. For more information about Brien Lundin, his work along with the New Orleans Investment Conference, email brienlundin@mainstreetmedianetwork.com. And you'll be able to get access to his gold newsletter and to learn more about him and his conference and his amazing work. And of course, to my audience out there, build yourself better and bigger every day. Live better, live bigger. Always move ever forward. And of course, it was a pleasure, Brien. Thank you so much for
Thank you,
being here.
Michael. My pleasure.